Tempo FM.
Thank you to the Sky Newsroom. It is 2 minutes past 12. You are here listening to Rebecca doing something a little bit different here at Tempo 107.4 FM. And today the theme, birds and the bees, and bugs and squirrels and butterflies and all things that are just coming back and waking up and migrating back over here after the winter break. Although they probably saw the snow and immediately turned back around and flew back the other way, or decided, I'm just going to go back to bed. That's the easiest thing to do. I mean, that's what many of us feel, isn't it? When it's a really cold day and you wake up and you see the snow outside and you think, I'm just going to go back to bed. That's the best thing to do. Unfortunately, we can't all do that. I couldn't do that this morning because I said that I would come and do the radio show today. And I absolutely love coming to do this radio show, which is why for the very next song I'm going to play, it's a nice fun little one by Summer Magic, and it's called The Ugly Bug Ball. Summer Magic there with The Ugly Bug Ball. Such a really cute little story there, which will actually lead me into my theme for next week, which, as it currently stands, I'm planning on doing songs that tell a story. So songs that tell a story. So it might be Victoria Wood's Tale of Frida and the husband and wife, and it's called Let's Do It. Or it might be a 4-minute warning, or it might be... So if you guys think of any songs at all, there might be ones that you might already know. Do email in. Let me know so I can play them for you. Right, but today, this week, the theme is birds and the bees. I'm going to keep saying it because this is when all the birds and the bees are supposed to be coming back out of hibernation and coming back from migration. And anything else with Harry Gration pulling I was trying to rhyme, it doesn't really work, sorry. But do you guys know where bees actually spend their time hibernating? It tends to be just the queen bee who will hibernate during the winter, and it tends to be in flower pots, loose soil, somewhere sort of secluded and out the way, and then they will start to emerge, but they'll always be really hungry and thirsty when they do. In fact, there has been a phenomenon recorded recently of bees emerging a bit earlier on in the winter, starting their nests a bit sooner, particularly when it's been much more milder, and sort of starting up a bit sooner, and then sort of going almost back to sleep again, and then waking up back when it's nice and sunny and warm again in the spring and into the summer. Of course, not all the bees hibernate. It's only the queen bees that hibernate every year. And the queen bees will then be, they don't unfortunately live for another year. They only survive one winter, but they emerge. They then start laying eggs. They build the nest. They lay eggs, which create worker bees, and then a new queen bee is then selected completely at random from one of the female eggs and put into a larger, let's say bee bedroom in the honeycomb, to then grow bigger and become the new queen bee for next year. So yeah, just a little bit about bees there from my reading. But bees are just so busy. Unfortunately, they're so busy that they don't ever get to learn the words to songs, which is why they're always humming them. Here's Arthur Askey with Busy Bee. Arthur Askey there with Busy Bee from the old music hall time long ago. A British comedian, of course, could only come up with that kind of music. I've just been told something very interesting about bees being drunk. Honeybees, like humans, can also get drunk. By sucking on fermented limes, bees can experience a very similar buzz from alcohol as we humans do. And, of course, there are rules about bees being drunk and such. So the rules of the Honeybee Society are quite strict, and without much thought, the guard bees that hang out outside the hive will begin to bite off the drunken bee's legs as punishment for getting drunk. And it's a good thing we don't have that over here, but the bees are literally getting legless when they go out for a drink. Oh, that's so bad. And unfortunately, drunk bees often die because either they get lost whilst trying to find their way back to the hive, or because the sober bees attack them. That's a fun thought for you now. I think we've got much better society rules over here. Like, yes, we can, as humans, yes, we can get drunk, but at least we're not going to lose our legs or limbs over it. Right, another insect-related song. Here's Owl City with Fireflies.
Good times, great songs, all day long.
This is Tempo FM.
Yes, and you are listening to Rebecca doing something a little bit different here at Tempo FM. It is 19 minutes past 12, and you are listening to, you're either listening on your dial at 107.4, or you're listening to us through the website, which is www.tempofm.co.uk, coming from the heart of Wetherby. And today, my theme has been this Monday lunchtime all about the birds and the bees and things coming out of hibernation. Now, I've mentioned squirrels a couple of times so far, and I'm going to be giving you a couple of squirrel jokes. But I think I'll do it after this song, because this song speaks for itself in terms of jokes. I mean, this is actually the only squirrel song that I could find that I really liked. So it's by Ray Stevens, and it's called The Mississippi Squirrel Revival, and I hope you enjoy it. Ray Stevens with The Mississippi Squirrel Revival. And I hesitated before about saying any squirrel jokes because I realised most of them could be interpreted as being quite rude. But here's a good one that I found, perfectly innocent. I got thrown out of my local park after arranging the squirrels by height. They didn't like me criticising. Oh, I can hear your groans from here. I'm sorry. Also, I once tried to catch a squirrel, but I didn't know how until I realised that all I had to do was climb a tree and act like a nut. Yeah, and of course, I'm sure anyone knows about squirrels. You can actually get flying squirrels in Amazon. Is that Amazon? I better look that up. And of course, but they don't have wings. So that leads me straight into this next song, which is Flying Without Wings by Westlife. And I'm going to mention how some squirrels, the flying squirrels, can fly without wings. Westlife, we're flying without wings, and I think many of us in all of these hurricane winds recently have been flying just a little bit without wings as well. Well, I mentioned before the flying squirrel obviously flies without having any wings, but they don't in fact fly. It's more of a glide. They're more of a gliding squirrel, but that doesn't have quite the same ring to it. And they glide by, where did I just read it? I've just seen it. So their long tail provides stability in flight as they go, but so what they have instead of wings is a furry parachute-like membrane that stretches from their wrists to their ankles, which of course when they spread their legs out wide increases their surface area so they can glide from tree to tree. Although of course the squirrels that we have over here actually look like that they can sometimes fly the way that they seamlessly seem to jump from tree to tree. In fact, I'm playing squirrels today because I saw out on a walk yesterday, we actually saw some squirrels in the trees. So they are up, they are out, they are active. They are probably looking for their nuts that they buried back in the winter. And even if they don't find them again, then those plants will probably grow up into brand new trees. But yeah, I mean, they run around so seamlessly around the branches, and you wonder how they're not afraid of falling. But of course, because they are only small creatures, and generally it's on forest floors, they're pretty nimble. And with the flying squirrel, they can use their tails and move their arms and legs to navigate their flight down if they miss their target. So yeah, that's quite an interesting. Oh, and the flying squirrel you can find mostly in North America. It's in lots of places in America, but you can also find it in South America in a few places as well. Right, back onto a song about birds. I think I need to play Songbird for you now by Oasis. That's right. If you have any other events that you want us to know about, anything else happening that is coming up and I haven't said it or it's not on the website, check if it's on the website first at www.tempofm.co.uk. And if it's not there, you can send us an email to studio@tempofm.co.uk and send us, or you can also send us a text. Send text to 82228, starting the message with the word tempo, followed by space, and your standard network rates apply. So it is 22 minutes to 1. You've been listening to Rebecca doing something a little bit different, and it's all been about the birds and the bees today. So of course, lots of these creatures, bugs included, including flying ants, flies, bumblebees, wasps, dragonflies. Oh, dragonflies. Should have found songs about dragonflies. Butterflies, fireflies, all kinds of flies. Of course, they all have one thing in common that enables them to fly, and that is, of course, their wings. That was Wings by Little Mix, and it is 18 minutes to 1. I'm going to give you a couple of jokes now. So when should you buy a bird? When's the best time to buy a bird? Well, of course, it's when it's going cheap. Did you hear the one about the crow and the telephone pole? Well, he wanted to make a long-distance call. Why do seagulls fly over the sea? Because if they flew over the bay, they'd be bagels. Here's Eels with I Like Birds.
Good times, great songs, all day long.
This is Tempo FM.
It is indeed. It is 9 minutes to 1. You've been listening to Rebecca doing something a little bit different for the last almost 2 hours. I've got just under obviously I've got 9 minutes left to fill with music and some facts as well. And I've just had a search as to why birds sing in the morning. So of course we get the dawn chorus, and I don't know, I always used to think it was just the birds waking up and going, oh, I'm awake, has anyone seen any worms? Oh, where's my breakfast? And all this sort of thing, but it's not at all. Birds can of course sing at any time of day, but during the dawn chorus their songs are often louder, livelier and far more frequent, which is why it's always nice and loud. It's mostly made up of male birds attempting to attract mates and warn other males away from their territories. But why did they choose these hours to sing? Well, maybe they've sort of forgotten about it from the night before. But yeah, generally in the spring, a lot of the bird song you hear are birds trying to find mates. And that's the same with, of course, all the insects, because they'll have just emerged and they'll be looking to find a mate to create offspring to pass on to the next generation of insects, especially bumblebees, who, although bumblebees will have mated in the autumn and will be starting to lay eggs now. So, yeah. That leads me on to the next song, which is called Fly on the Wings of Love by Anya and DJ Chucky and XTM. That was Fly on the Wings of Love, which is a major reason as to why birds actually sing at all hours of the morning and throughout the day. They are trying to find a mate, of course, and that will be beginning very, very soon. Right, so I'm almost at an end, but I wanted to give you a couple of little tips for how to help the animals and the bugs and the birds that are coming out of hibernation and migrating back, because of course they will have stocked up on food before they went to sleep, but now that they have used up all of their energy before going to sleep, they need to quickly find food and to get back that energy again. So the best thing you can do, if you have ice you have water that's frozen over, either on a pond or even on a bird bath, break it. Ideally gently. If you have fish in the water or anything hibernating, don't just smack it with a hammer. Do it gently, because it can cause tremors through the water and can hurt them. Make sure you feed the birds. Put out some bird feed for them. Sprinkle it on the grass. Put it in bird feeders, etc. Provide fresh water if you haven't got anywhere in particular, even just a shallow bowl for them to drink out of, and start looking at planting some nice flowers for all the bugs and the birds to enjoy, because if you bring bugs in, you're going to bring birds in as well, and if you bring in the birds, well, you're going to probably get some crazy bees flying around like this. This is the New Symphony Orchestra of London playing Flight of the Bumblebee. Remember being introduced to that at primary school, and I always enjoyed it. Right, that's it from me, I'm afraid. I'm going to play you out with my favourite song at the moment as a little treat for myself, because it's actually my birthday on Wednesday. So here's Shakira with Try Everything. Thank you guys for listening this week, for tuning in. I hope you tune in next week, where I'm going to be looking at songs that tell a story. So I'll catch you all then. Hope you enjoyed, and feel free to stay tuned for 3 p.m. for the Sensational 70s show with Rob Allen.